All Paulie knows is that he's a civilian.
Officials close to the investigation are keeping tight-lipped, as it may involve a high-ranking mafia member.
You already met him in my first Sopranos civilian video. Today is time for round 2. Let's talk about some more Sopranos civilians. Jason Barone is the son of Dick Barone of Barone Sanitation, and after Dick Barone dies, his son, Jason, wants to sell the company.
Paulie tells me you're thinking of selling your father's business to Chucky Cinelli.
No, Cinelli's offer seemed fair.
There's lots of things to take into account. You even know what your EBITDA is?
My what?
Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Gives the true picture of a company's profitability.
So this guy is a truck driver who drives one of Barone Sanitation's trucks. And after the deal goes through, Cinelli's guys tell him that this isn't his route anymore. But the real messed up part is when they beat the shit out of him. And it's really sad when we see the son running out to him yelling, "Poppy, Poppy." And just goes to show, you know, the really nasty, messed up stuff that can happen to anyone, including civilians who are just happen to be caught in the crossfire, happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Poppy, again?
So this guy, Rudy Diaz, was apparently the paramedic that performed the wallet biopsy. The problem is, when guys like Tony think of someone looking through their wallet, it's not usually for good purposes. So this guy gets caught up in that. Tony doesn't end up taking any money from him, though he does offer it. But I think at the end of the day, Tony also realizes that the guy really didn't do anything wrong. And at least for that day, he was just grateful to be getting out of the hospital. Yes, I'd like a very tall order of Johnny cakes, please. This is a guy that Vito meets when he flees to New Hampshire after being outed as gay. And unfortunately, this ends up in heartbreak for poor Johnny Cakes. In season 6, episode 6, Live Free or Die, when Vito makes his way to New Hampshire, on his way, he finds a place called White Mountain Inn. It's a bed and breakfast, and an older lady runs the place, and she lets Vito in. It's almost like sanctuary. That's how I see it.
Hi, how you doing?
I need a room for the night.
I don't have anybody down for a reservation.
The sign said vacancy.
Manager Dale, welcome to the neighborhood. We meet Dale in season 6, episode 8, Johnny Cakes, because he works at this new coffee place. And when Patsy and Gervasi go by to make their collections, not so fast. You're not getting any money from this place. According to Manager Dale, every last fucking coffee bean is in the computer and has to be accounted for. Doesn't matter if you throw a brick through the window, 2 bricks, or even throw a brick at me. The numbers don't add up. I'll be gone, and somebody else will be here. It's over for the little guy.
It's gotta go through corporate.
How do you think corporate would feel if, for the sake of argument, someone threw a brick through your window?
They've got like 10,000 stores in North America. I don't think they feel anything.
Mr. Gautieri, I'm Father Jose.
I'm Mr. Gautieri.
Where's Father Felix?
Oh, unfortunately, he's ill. He's having bypass surgery. He asked me to fill in.
Every year, for the Feast of St. Elzir, they give the church $10,000. And from this donation, they're able to manage the festival, essentially, for their benefit. But this time, Father Jose has something else in mind. Like 5 times that amount. So he tells Paulie that this year, they want $50,000 instead of $10,000 for the donation. And Paulie refuses. He says, fine. You don't want to take our $10,000? You want $50,000? Well, you're not going to get the hat for St. Elzir. He knows the arrangement. He knows who these guys are. He's just trying to get a better deal. But he knows it would still be the same people running it.
Excuse me? I'm getting my mail. You're driving like a maniac. My God. How come your airbag didn't go off?
I call this poor old guy Mr. New Hampshire Civilian. He's truly in the wrong place at the wrong time when Vito just so happens to be speeding back to New Jersey and he hits the back of this guy's car while the guy's out getting his mail. The guy wants to call the cops, make sure everything's on record for insurance, etc. And of course, Vito doesn't want that. But the guy insists. So, Vito, in his head, has no choice but to quiet the guy. Who knew that Shooter McGavin was in The Sopranos? Just kidding. That's a Happy Gilmore joke. Anyway, this is another one of Christopher's sponsors. One who happens to be much more of a civilian than, say, Murmur, his other sponsor. So Christopher updates him on what's going on in his life, and he reminds Christopher about the importance of avoiding triggering places, people, really about taking stock of what's good in his life, his family, his new daughter, and steering clear of old habits. And I think this guy could have really continued being a good influence on Christopher if he weren't overshadowed by other darker influences. Have you heard the good news? He is risen. It's almost time for turkey sandwiches. And Aaron Arkaway and his friend are here to visit Tony Soprano. We first meet Aaron Arkaway in season 3 when he and Janice are dating. And then we see him again in season 6, episode 4, The Fleshy Part of the Thigh, after Tony wakes up from his coma and is receiving visitors in the hospital. And there's Bob Brewster, an evangelical minister who used to be addicted to, in his words, cocaine and strippers, and then he found God. Now, it's interesting when Tony tells him that they already have a church and a priest for that.
But what God wants is for you to love him directly, not necessarily through the intercession of liturgy or any human agent.
When Tony is the boss, and when these other guys are the boss, in a way, they're seen as deities. They're the ones who call the shots and make the decisions and set the agenda. Everyone else is really almost kind of just a passenger.
As far as that thing goes, the coffee with the chicory.
The fuck is that?
Oh, shit. I suck at talking like this. Yeah, I'm sorry.
So this guy's name is Anthony. He's Ginny Sack's brother, so Johnny Sack's brother-in-law, and he's an optometrist. He's another civilian, as we can see from his lack of smart communication in situations like these. So he isn't part of any operation. He's not involved in their world at all, other than when he gets forced into it, like in these situations here.
Yes. Bad news is that he wants 10 cups for himself, not 7.
While Tony was initially pleased to see this woman show up in his hospital room, it didn't last for long. Her job is to basically get him out of the hospital as soon as possible so that the insurance companies don't have to keep paying for his stay. And then he learns about the wallet biopsy. If it weren't for his wallet biopsy and his insurance card being in his wallet, he would have just been dropped off at the county hospital. Though, of course, as we know, the things that Tony's getting pissed off at her and the insurance companies for, like trying to save a buck, in many ways, that's how Tony's business works, right? That's all for now. Stay tuned for some more Sopranos civilians. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the meantime, which civilian from this video is your favorite?